Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger with another guide for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This time I'm going to be going over installs. So if you're not already familiar with the term install, it's an old term, comes from Guilty Gear, but it kind of applies to everyone. It basically has a power-up form where they do something and then they're powered up, they're faster, better, stronger, and this, that, and the other. So what I'm going to be doing is running through the characters that have them in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and detailing all they do. So we have Arthur right now, so we're just going to start with Arthur. So Arthur has an install where if you do it, he gains nice fancy armor, reminiscent of the old Ghosts and Goblins games where, you power up and you do more fancy stuff. So that's true across the board. So first, I want to show you the damage stuff. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit and get hit. So, hit Ultron does 600 damage, right? Ultron hits me, he does 700. So we're going to armor up. Now when I hit him, I do 720 damage. So, while this form is up, all of his normal attacks, like every single one, even like a basic jab, they all do 20% more damage across the board. Now Ultron, I'm going to hit him back, he just did 560 damage. So he's now dealing 20% less across the board. Now this all speaks into what happens when you're in your Underoos state. So in the Underoos, the damage is the same, so that's fine. Is as it should be, but when you are getting hit, now Ultron's base was 700, now it says 840. So you take 20% more damage. So Arthur's already a low health character, so taking 20% more is obviously on a state 1B. So you gotta burn bars just to get back to normal. And then once you're back to normal, then you take normal damage again. But while you're in the install, you deal way more damage, you take way less damage, you deal 20% more, take 20% less, and the properties of all your moves change. So let's just show basic knife throw here, 870, and basic javelin throw, 500. So we're going to toss the javelin. 1200 is way more than 20%, so the move is completely different now. And not only is it completely different, the move now crushes all fireballs, all supers, it doesn't really matter.
Target acquired. Here's the big one.
Nothing could stop it. Not supers, nothing. I don't know of a single move in the game the javelin can't beat once you're in your golden form. And that's true for basically all your moves. Not so much the durability, but everything's different. Everything gains new ranges, new properties, like the old boomerang there. A lot more hits. The axe, that goes for a bit now. As you see there, look at that. That's just savage. So everything is turbocharged once you're in the golden armor, as far as your special moves go. So as far as most of the installs go, this was probably one of the more dramatic ones. That's why I want to start with it. You do more damage, you take less damage, all your properties will change, and you come incredibly hard to beat on just about every aspect. And now for Megaman. And I know he's called X, I just call him Megaman, it's just so much easier for me. But anyways, I digress. So his install state, and you find the inputs basically almost universally same here, just down both kicks, double down both kicks. So he gains fancy new armor, and now unlike Arthur, he doesn't get no damage boost. See here, so all his base damage, so Fierce Punch is 700, and in regular form, still 700. Now, he does take slightly less damage, so Ultron's Fierce Punch 700 as always. So we're going to armor up here. Now he does 630, so he takes 10% less damage across the board while he has his install state up. Now, while the install state is up, so a lot of his moves are changed. So the Mega Buster here, you can hold it, as you probably are already well know, and you can get a secondary version here that does more damage, does 2 hits, and knocks down. So in the armor state, you now gain the third tier, a purple charge, which does even more damage yet. And if we get him out of the corner here, also causes a wall bounce state, as you can see here. So this crushes a lot of fireballs, and while this armor up, and you have this, and obviously you still have the follow-ups and all that too, that doesn't go away. So all of his handy follow-ups are still there, so you're going to be winning most neutral fireball wars that people just want to stand their ground, truck plasma, at most points you're going to be winning at this point now because of that extra big fireball. So obviously it does more damage. Now, all of his moves here, besides his fireball, he has moves that are allowed to double up on themselves. So like the icicle, you can do it twice. Boomerang, you can do twice. And of course, you know, you can mix and match them however you please. So these now all do 10% more damage in the install state. The regular base fireball does not do more damage, although obviously the new state does do more damage. So we're gonna once again here, just to show you. So base air cutter here, 600. So 660. So that's 10% more. And some properties are a bit different. Mostly applies to the boomerang here. So the boomerang, see here, the base version 3 hits. So while you're in the armor state, not only does it do more damage, it actually does more than 10% more damage. It's about 15. It actually gains more hits. So this move comes dramatically better while you're in the install state. It's already one of his best moves to begin with, and now it's way more vicious. And the final thing to note here is how it changes his level 1 blaster super. So you do it raw, 3000. Since it's not a beam, it does the same amount of damage no matter where it hits on the screen, so that's fine. And if you're in the install state, you will get a second projectile and add 880 more damage. So it's basically just free damage at that point. You know, it still causes the wall bounce. And that second fireball, you know, takes up more screen real estate, but basically it's just an improvement on the super you already have, and you're going to be ending a lot of specials, or sorry, you're going to be ending a lot of your combos in that super anyways. So if you're already in that state, it's just more damage. Now, for Zero and Gamora, I have picked them together. In essence, their stuff's kind of the same. Both of their installs create a little buddy here who mimics all your moves. So the only real big difference there is Gamora's follows up a lot faster than Zero's does. And there's good and bad to both sides. So like if Gamora's just like doing runaway gunshots and all that, her pressure's a lot more immediate. But for Zero, his clone really helps really fill the screen with garbage. So if you're not aware, he has a little buster here. If you hold it, you know, at the end of certain moves, you can do stuff. So normally, like solo, like don't get me wrong, this is still plenty good for filling the screen with trash, right? But with the double up, it gets kind of out of control. Like you can see here, this screen is just, it's like an old school bullet hell shooter at this point. So, and obviously, you know, it still lets you double up your offense and all that. So it's a great offensive tool and a great zoning tool, especially for Zero. Gamora lets her keep away and her gunshot spam, very good. Now, the one thing to know about both these, because these two are unique in this situation, is, let me go to my bar here. These two are the only two installs that while you have them up, you cannot gain bar. The enemy will gain bar just the same getting hit, so you know, good for them, but you will not gain any new bar. And let's switch up Gamora so you can see. So no matter what you do, you're committing to a stand, basically a stance saying, I'm willing to no longer gain new bar while I have this up. So it's a blessing and a curse, because obviously they're very, very strong installs, but you will not be getting anything new while your opponent will still keep getting bar from like hits and all that while you're going forward. Now, the only thing to note here is while you're in the Mind Stone Storm, you will still gain bar there, but otherwise your bar gain has stopped. Now, Morrigan also has a clone install like Zero and Gamora. However, hers is 1-to-1. There's no delay. If I hit Fierce Punch, they're both happening at the same time. So this has always classically been linked to her Fireball game. So all the Fireballs get doubled up and, you know, fill the screen with trash pretty decently. But it is not good or bad, depending on how you look at it, on what side of the fence you're on. It is not as strong as it was in Marvel 3. But long story short, it helps her pressure game, because if you get push blocked out, like, you know, at least you can toss 2 fireballs. It's much harder to deal with the fireball coming from behind, Like, you still block it the same, sure, but just more fireballs on the screen is always more pressure to deal with, and you know, a stray hit can always lead to more damage. So Firebrand's install is a speed boost. So he moves, I don't have a hard number here, but I'd say like, I don't know, 20, 25% faster. I believe Marvel 3 was strictly 25. I don't have the exact numbers here, unfortunately, for this game. But yeah, it's a speed boost. There's no damage buff or nothing like that, unfortunately. So like, if you just do Fireball, like, does the same no matter what. Now, unfortunately, I'm not really much of a Firebrand player. I'm not playing much. I'm very sure with speed boost, because like, even his normals are way faster. So I'm sure you can get combos you could not normally get otherwise. But it's just basically a speed boost. So for Dante, Dante has the Devil Trigger as his install, and it's pretty simple in that it's a flat out damage buff across all normals and all specials for 10%. So that did 770, normally the air guitar is 400, does 440, and so on and so forth. Everything does 10% more damage. And while you have it up, you also gain access to 3 new special moves. First off, he can fly. And now while he's flying, he can only still do forward and backwards air dash. So no staircase combos or anything like that, unfortunately. And on top of that, he can also do the air torpedo. So the air torpedo is mostly combo fodder. But you can do it raw, switch sides, you know, do tag mix-ups, all of that, right? And the final one, and the most useful of the 3 special moves, is the lightning bolt. So this thing just dominates the screen. It has so much real estate, it's crazy. And as always, you have the rule of 3 special moves in the air, so you can do 3 of them back to back. Now, unfortunately, this move has been affected by the fact it counts as a beam in this game. So I see up back here, it does pitiful damage from full screen, unfortunately. If you do up close, then we start getting respectable damage. So like if you do it in their face, like, you know, that's some real stuff. But even from far away, at the very least, you can do it. Tag, they're gonna lock down for a split second. So that's something. Now, for Captain Marvel, when it comes to damage boost, hers is easily the most impressive and savage. So base here 700, we do our install. Then move, now if we hit, there we go, does 910, so that's a 30% damage boost, and that's across all of our moves. So the damage boost is off the chain. Like, unfortunately, because the damage is so high, you do have to change your combos accordingly, because now the damage absolutely put you in a higher damage bracket, and they'll fall out of stuff they normally wouldn't fall out of. But yeah, the damage is utterly savage, just 30%, and on top of that, so if we do like our basic beam here, actually we're gonna do it from far away as possible. So from full screen, her beam does a pitiful 1 hit, and like less than a jab's worth of damage. If we do our install, like you see here, it's doing 3 hits and obviously more damage. So the beam comes wider, so it becomes much more of a reasonable tool for zoning, because it eats up more of the screen, does more damage, and has a bigger hitbox. Now that said, if you didn't already notice, if you look at her health, now this isn't, I'd say, significant, but it's not insignificant either. She's losing health as it goes forward. This is not recoverable health. You see here, there's no red health here, so this is permanent damage you're taking while you're in the install. So be aware of that, but if you got nothing else to do, spend the bar, you know, because everything's going to get more damage, and a stray hit, you know, all of a sudden gets much more savage because it's 30% damage across the board bonus. Now, Nova, I debated on ending with him or not, because he doesn't have an install in the traditional sense, but it still kind of is. So if you have a look here, see, he's like low with power. He's going like Super Saiyan 2, right? You can probably see it a lot if you're in training mode. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to take away all that bar. And all of a sudden, all that cool lightning, that just went away. So what happens here is he's actually powered up by having bar. So there's 2 significant tiers here, and that is having 1 bar and having 3 bars. So let's just turn our damage indicator on here. So the big moves that are affected are the pulse and the javelin. So you can see here, so javelin, I'm using the jab version just so you know, 600 damage. Pulse, light punch version, 800. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to give him 1 bar. So now Pulse does 1,000. And Javelin now does 800. So these moves are significantly changed by having just 1 bar. You're not spending it on anything, you just need to have it stocked, and the power-up happens by itself. Now, we're going to upgrade to 3 bars. And now all of a sudden, Pulse, on top of doing more damage again, now it's at 1200, is also wall bounce. And the Light Punch Javelin now just knocked the foe down, on top of doing more damage yet again. And obviously, you know, Fierce Punch Javelin, same deal, it does even more damage. I'm just using Light Punch only for demonstration purposes. But for 1 and 3 bars, those are the 2 big tiers where those moves really radically change. As for his other specials, they're basically the same. If there's anything different about them, I haven't really noticed it. They do the same amount of damage, they have the same properties from what I can tell. So Pulse and Javelin are the 2 big ones, but Javelin especially is one of his best moves by quite a bit. So you really need to pay attention. What is his state of bar? Because especially once you hit 3 bars, that's like when things start really changing. Because like all of a sudden having the Pulse as a giant, huge, like even look at the size of it. So we're gonna go back to 1 bar. See this? Look at this piddly little thing. So now we're gonna go back to 3 bars. Now look at it. The hitbox is widely different. It now hits from way further away. And on top of, you know, doing more damage and all that. So even the, like all the properties are across the board of it are changed. Not just more damage, not just having a new property. Like even the hitbox is vastly different now. So you just kind of need to keep how much bar you have in mind. Like you're still gonna probably burn bar. Like don't be a slave to it or anything. But it's really good to know. So that is the end of this video. I tend to miss always one thing. I always have bad luck with that. So if I did miss something, please put in the comments below and you know, educate everyone. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Marvel.